once again, so Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny as a official release, we now have a total of 5 Indiana Jones films, and with this being able to have a franchise with an iconic character like Indiana Jones, which everyone loves, and with Harrison Ford, he just plays the character so well, and even with those movies being good, and with the ones not being good as well, and so in this video, this will be a full ranking of all 5 Indiana Jones films, from worst to best, and I'll also give you guys my opinions and thoughts on why those movies are listed in my ranking. And keep in mind, it's just my own opinions, and there's so much more as well. And so if you're new to the channel and don't know, and let's say we should too, subscribe at the bell. So I'll make videos of this. And so let's get into it. And now, starting with way below at number 5 is Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. Now, with this film, I had a good time watching it. I thought it was really good, but even within the opening minutes of the film, it felt like an Indiana Jones film. But even with the rest of the film itself, it kind of lacks that Spielberg magic and taste as we used to see in the franchise, and the fact that this movie was directed by James Mangold, who directed Logan, but with his direction of what he wanted to take with this film, it was a pretty solid. And plus, this was like a one solid last adventure. And even with the film itself, I kind of found to be my least favorite Indiana Jones adventure. Plus, I liked the chemistry between him and Helena, and even with Helena in the film, I kind of found her like enjoyable at times. And even as I love the Mads Mikkelsen as a villain who was going after the missing piece of the dial and going after Indy and Helena, and it was like a fun adventure. But I definitely had a good time watching it, and it wasn't a perfect movie overall, but it was like a good and solid last adventure. And this was a pretty great setup for Indiana Jones, and plus even at our time travel elements involved, and even though with like a questionable third act, even with him being this retired college professor and losing his way of marrying, causing his marriage to fail, and he does this average archaeologist, and he's just a retired man. Even so, I thought this was a solid film, and I had a great time watching it, and it was really good. Next at number 4 is Indiana Jones Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And now, even though with this be everyone's least favorite film, I found it to be really good, especially as I like the Shia LaBeouf as much. Even though with the chemistry between him and Indiana Jones is so fascinating to see, especially in the film after Indiana Jones learns that he is his son, and even with a Kate Blanchett, like, and I thought she was like a great villain, even with the return of Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark. Even so, with this twist that happens, even with Charles Stanford, which I found to be less interesting, even though he's barely in the movie, he is a less interesting character, especially with the iconic fight scene, especially with this one right here, with the sword fight between Mud and Arena on the trucks. That's a pretty cool fight scene, and even what Shia LaBeouf delivered as my people say, like he is like a least interesting character, but I found Mike to be like a more funny character, as more this greaser biker person, as even reveals that he works on motorcycles, and we see him more as more of this cool guy. Even though with like the father son chemistry between the two, it's so wonderful. Even so, like as I love that they brought Marion back, and even with the series here of Months swinging with the monkeys, and even though I found this one to be a really good, even a nice solid installment in the franchise. And next at number 3 is Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. And now with this one, I found to be a really good film, and especially as it introduced a key one as short round. And I just love the chemistry between him and Indiana Jones. It just works so well on screen. Plus, it's also a reading photos of them in the present day. But with the chemistry in this film, it just works so well. And plus, I love the key one as short round, and as I love this character, he's such a beloved character to everyone. And even though with the singer and then that like she goes along with them, I kind of found her to be my least enjoyable character. And so as we see this whole thing and the Pangok Palace, and even with that bridge fight and the third act, it's so like wonderful. It's like really like wild, and so I really enjoyed it. I thought this was a good sequel. And now coming in at number 2 is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. And now with this one, it's like my favorite one in the franchise. So especially as we had the team up between Indy and his dad, and even in that opening sequence of the film when Indy was a kid and trying to become an archaeologist, and even so like with them like team up together to find the Grail, and even with the Swiss involving the Nazis, and even with that tank scene and the third act with Indio riding on the horse, it's just so like so good to see. And even with this final shot at the end with them riding up into the sunset, I mean that's pure Spielberg magic right there. That's an unforgettable shot, and I think with this film, this is my favorite one in the franchise. And lastly, at number 1 is Indiana Jones: Raiders of the Lost Ark. Now, this is the film that started it all in just the character Indiana Jones as an archaeologist. And even with the opening sequence, that remains iconic to this day with him replacing the idol with a bag of sand, and with him being chased by the boulder. And we get an appearance by Alfred Molina before he was Doc in the Spider-Man films. And even with the film itself, I found it to be iconic. It's a great way to start this franchise, and even with like going on this adventure with Marion, and even when we get introduced to Marion in this film, when we see her in this drinking competition, I thought it was a great introduction to the character, and even as we see this adventure that going on about finding the Lost Ark, even with Belloc, I found to be a great villain, and even so as we see him in the desert, and even with the first film that still remains to be iconic as well. And then yeah, so this is my ranking of all the Indiana Jones films, and also I love this franchise so much, and Harrison Ford plays his character perfectly, and he really brings his role to life, and so I think he owns that role, and even with this franchise, it's so one of the most greatest franchises of all time, especially with the Raiders of the Lost Ark, and even with the Last Crusade, which are my favorite, and even with the Dallas of the next season, which I enjoyed the least. I thought it was a good and solid adventure, and it was a great set up to the character after all. But even with this franchise, I mean, I love it, and it's just a great set up for Indiana Jones as well. And so that is going to be for this video. Let me know guys' thoughts in the comments below. What thoughts on my ranking, and what would you rate all the Indiana Jones films? Let me know in the comments below. Give this video a like and subscribe and turn notifications on future videos. And if I have updates, always follow me on Twitter. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.